Good morning and welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Alton. Thank you all who are viewing this service remotely. I am Robin Berkeley. My pronouns are she, her, and I am president of the congregation, and I also serve as a worship associate. In the pulpit today, we have our Midwest UUA representative, the Reverend Phil Lund, and we welcome him to being here with us virtually. For those of you viewing for the first time, the First Unitarian Church is a small lay-led congregation located in Alton, Illinois. We welcome everyone to this home of comfort, spirit, justice, and hope. We are Unitarian Universalists. We open our service with a prelude by our pianist, Joy Heft. Thank you so much. And Joy, I hope your hand is getting better. And for those who didn't know, she sprained her hand. So we're working off of some pre-recordings that she's done for us over the last 2 years. Okay, if you have a candle nearby, you are welcome to join me in lighting the chalice. An important ritual in the Unitarian Universalist faith is the lighting of our chalice. Unitarian Universalists have many different interpretations of the flaming chalice, including the light of reason, the warmth of community, and the flame of hope. Please join me in celebrating all of these reasons and more, and together we will recite our unison words for the chalice lighting. We hallow this time together by kindling the lamp of our heritage. So our opening prayer, go ahead, Phil.
A Place of Belonging and Caring by Kimberly Ann Tomczak Carlson. It is not by chance that you arrived here today. You have been looking for something larger than yourself. Inside of you, there is a yearning, a calling, a hope for more, a desire for a place of belonging and caring. Through your struggles, someone nurtured you into being, instilling a belief in a shared purpose, a common yet precious resource that belongs to all of us when we share. And so you began seeking a beloved community, a people that does not put fences around love, a community that holds its arms open to possibilities of love, a heart home to nourish your soul and share your gifts. Welcome home. Welcome to worship.
Join us in our opening hymn, 346. Come sing with song with me. Sorry, had to be unmuted. Today's service from Reverend Lund is titled Realistic Hope and Hopeful Realism, and it focuses on our seventh principle, And that principle is as follows. It's the respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. So as we listen to his sermon today, particularly as it relates to some of the challenges that we face as a small congregation, some of the things and the tough decisions we have ahead of us, I want you to consider how his words will help us to navigate this process as we consider this interdependent web amongst all of our congregation and how we relate to our local community. So thank you, Reverend Lund, and please keep that in mind as we move forward. When we are together live, we honor our joys and sorrows, typically by putting stones in a bowl of water representing the thoughts and needs of those who are here and those who cannot be with us. Today, because we are remote, we offer this time for people to share their joys and sorrows verbally, if need be, and typing messages on our YouTube or Zoom links. Please share your joys and sorrows if you would like, and followed by a moment of silence and reflection. So I don't know if anything shows up in the YouTube, Alex, but just let me know if it does. And if not, we will take a few moments here. I do want to let everybody know, and this was part of the announcements, but also to let you know, for those of you who knew Jim Elliott, his wife, Phyllis, passed away this past week, and there will be a memorial service for her at a local church. I think Pat Moore and Mary Johnson will be attending that. So if you have any interest in going to that memorial service on her behalf, please contact them. Let's take a moment to reflect on our own joys and sorrows. If you want to ground yourself by putting your feet on the floor, closing your eyes for a few moments, and thinking about all the things for which we are grateful, and for all the things that we are looking for help and support. And remember that you are loved, and that we have a beloved community that has your back as you need to. Okay, bring you back to the present. We move on to the concept of stewardship. And we offer this gentle reminder that this community of faith is supported only by your giving. Stewardship is more than just financial donations, but it is also about donating your time and talent to help our church. If you can't write a check, please help our church survive and thrive by offering your time to help the church. Please donate as you can with your time, talent, or treasure, because all are needed for our church to prosper. You can mail your financial gift to the First Unitarian Church, P.O. Box 494, Alton, Illinois 62002, or you can give electronically by searching for First Unitarian Church of Alton on the Givelify app or via the link on our webpage. As well, you can give through PayPal if you prefer. If you are willing to donate your time and talent, please contact a board member and let us know what you can do to help. Give what you will and what you are able, for you are a very generous people. Please join me in our offering prayer. May this offering equip us to inspire love and seek justice. Our next hymn is number 146 in the gray hymnal, Soon the Day Will Arrive.
If we share, if we care, you and me. wait and see what a world there can be if we share, if we care, you and me.
Utirei kanatovihiye bashana bashana haba. Utirei kanatovihiye bashana bashana haba.
Some have dreamed, some have died to make a bright tomorrow, and their vision remains in our hearts. Now the torch must be passed with new hope, not in sorrow, and a promise to make a new start. Otire, kamatoviye, bashana, bashana, haba. Otire, kamatoviye, bashana, bashana, haba.
For our reading today, something from Starhawk, Community Means Strength. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned. We can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate with us whenever we come into our power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter. A circle of healing, a circle of friends, a place where we can be free. Thank you for having me here today. As the staff person for the Mid-America region of the UUA, who works primarily with small congregations, I've had the opportunity to observe just how much things have changed in our religious communities since the pandemic began in early 2020, when in-person Sunday services were canceled and buildings were closed, as it became clear just how serious the pandemic was and continues to be. And even though most congregations were able to quickly pivot to gathering online, it wasn't and still isn't quite the same. Doing church has changed dramatically since the pandemic struck. But the need for change wasn't necessarily caused by the pandemic. The general attitude toward religion in America was already in the midst of a marked transformation, a transformation that has only been accelerated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Almost 15 years ago, Holly Ann Lux Sullivan, a UU minister who is currently a bereavement counselor in North Carolina, delivered a sermon that exemplifies how the attitude toward religion has changed in the United States. In a Barnes & Noble just before Easter, she writes, "I watched a woman glance at a table of books and made a face like she'd just tasted something awful. Then she hurried on by as if she were afraid the books would bite. Curious, I looked to see what she had grimaced at. All the books on the table were about religion, primarily Christianity. They had titles like Misquoting Jesus and What Jesus Really Meant. All I could think was, is this what we've done to God? Is this what we've done to religion? Is American religion today in such a sad state that when someone sees a table full of religion books in a bookstore, she scurries away and looks like she's going to be sick? The answer is yes, says Lux Sullivan. This is what we've done to religion. And the truth is, something has happened with religion over the last few decades. Fewer and fewer people are members of religious organizations, and more people are identifying as spiritual but not religious, or nuns. In fact, there were a couple of polls and surveys released last year that make clear just how profound these changes have been. Consider this headline from an article on Gallup's website: U.S. church membership falls below majority for first time. And the story highlights, in 2020, 47% of U.S. adults belong to a church, synagogue, or mosque, down more than 20 points from turn of the century. Change primarily due to rise in Americans with no religious preference. Even though I've been aware of this decline since I was in seminary over 20 years ago, I was still shocked to see it. And when I say that, I'm not exaggerating. I was shocked. This graph from the Gallup article shows just how drastic this change has been. So let me share that for you here. So let me get that up here. Here we go. So according to the article, Americans' membership in houses of worship continued to decline last year, dropping below 50% for the first time in Gallup's 8-decade trend. In 2020, 47% of Americans said they belonged to a church, synagogue, or mosque, down from 50% in 2018 and 70% in 1999. U.S. church membership was 73% when Gallup first measured it in 1937 and remained near 70% for the next 6 decades before beginning a steady decline around the turn of the 21st century. This milestone of church membership falling below 50% of Americans is truly alarming, and it's especially alarming for small congregations. And frankly, it leaves me a little disheartened. I truly believe being part of a religious community, be it a church, synagogue, or mosque, has real benefits: spiritual, emotional, even physical. So what are we supposed to do with this news? In her sermon, What Can We Do for Religion Today?, Holly Ann Lux Sullivan offers this suggestion: being hopefully realistic in the face of adversity is what we can do for religion today. It's a great idea, but to be honest, being hopefully realistic at this point in the 21st century can be difficult. There are so many heartbreaking things happening right now. More and more of the Arctic ice shelf falling into the ocean, over 800,000 Americans dying of COVID, the foundations of democracy, democratic society being threatened at home and around the world, the refusal of so many of our fellow citizens to confront the racial and economic injustices of our society. Still, I think there is some hope to be found, but to get there, we need to start with being realistic. We need to go a little deeper into what this decline in church membership means for us as Unitarian Universalists, especially those of us whose primary experience with Unitarian Universalism is in small congregations. To do that, I'd like to take a look at another survey that came out last year, this time from the Public Religion Research Institute. And I will get that up there. So what I like about the PRII's 2020 Census of American Religion, which was published last July, is that it actually includes Unitarian Universalists, just barely. If you look at this chart from their census, you'll see that Unitarian Universalists are the last religious group they mention by name right before other religion, which is where most other surveys of religion put UUs. And you'll note that folks who identify as Unitarian Universalists are an incredibly small percentage of Americans, 0.02% of the population, smaller than the percentage of those who identify as Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, Jewish, and Jehovah's Witnesses, and certainly smaller than those who identify as Protestant or Catholic. We are, and always have been, a very small religious group in the United States and around the world. And that, I believe, is the first reality we need to face. With fewer and fewer people identifying with any religion, and with increasingly smaller numbers of people who do identify with a religion actually attending a church, synagogue, or mosque, the potential for small congregations to attract new people decreases. The PRRI census mentions another reality that I think we must face. Unitarian Universalists are one of the oldest groups in terms of median age. The median age for all Americans is 47. For white evangelical Protestants, it's 56. For white Catholics, it's 54. And for Unitarian Universalists, it's 53. By contrast, the median age for those who identify as unaffiliated is 38, 36 for Buddhists and Hindus, and 33 for Muslims. The reality is that we are collectively older, and we have been that way for some time. Here's a third reality I think we need to face up to. Unitarian Universalists are, along with Hindu and Jewish Americans, most likely to have college degrees. 53% of Unitarian Universalists have four-year college degrees or higher, compared to 36% of the US population aged 25 or older. And 36% is, by the way, the same percentage of the religiously unaffiliated who have a four-year college degree or higher. That's the reality then. We are a very small group in terms of percentage of Americans who identify as Unitarian Universalists, 0.02%. We are also an older group in terms of our median age, 53, 15 years older than the median age of the unaffiliated. And in terms of educational attainment, we have more in common with Hindu and Jewish Americans than we have with Americans who identify with other religious groups. There's one more reality check I'd like to offer, and it comes directly from our UUA, specifically the membership statistics from 1961, when the American Unitarian Association and the Universalist Church of America merged, to 2020. In 1961, there were 1,035 congregations with 151,557 adult members and 77,546 RE enrollments. In 2020, there were 1,027 congregations with 152,921 adult members. Not bad, eh? Only 7 fewer congregations and 1,364 more adult members. But here's the reality. In 2020, there were only 34,768 RE enrollments. That means when we look at the combined adult membership and RE enrollments, we've gone from 229,103 back in 1961 to 187,689 in 2020, a decline of 41,414. Back in 2005, Larry Ladd, the UU financial advisor, said this in his report to General Assembly. For 4 years in a row, I have written in this report that the declines in religious education enrollment should be a warning signal for our movement. And indeed, less than 5 years after Larry Ladd shared his warning, the adult membership in the UUA began to decline after years of small but steady growth, and it continues to decline to this day. So here's the reality. Unitarian Universalism in America is a small group of older, educated adults that is declining in numbers. And that was before the COVID-19 pandemic struck. At this point, in the sermon, I wish I could get to the hope, but we need to acknowledge that the pandemic has exacerbated the impact of these realities. Here's what a recent Wall Street Journal article had to say about the situation. The number of churchgoers has steadily dropped in the US over the past decades, but COVID-19 and its lockdown restrictions altered that fall. In-person church attendance is roughly 30 to 50% lower than it was before the pandemic. While religious leaders expect some rebound once the pandemic recedes, many don't expect attendance to return to previous levels. And as Rob Dreyer, lead consultant for Ministry Architects, said in a blog post last September, as our society is opening up more and more, people are starting to pick up the weight of busy lives again. With the pandemic and virus variants over their heads, people are finding that they have a reduced capacity for bearing weight. Even joyful activities are getting sidelined in this new normal. Now, the church is realizing something that not just about young adults, but about people of all ages in our churches. They're not coming back. The super volunteers who used to carry 20 positions in the church are now looking to do just a few things. Our regular attenders are becoming semi-regular. Our fringe folk are fading away. Church consultant Carrie Newhoff is even more explicit. The great return to church has become the great realization. Maybe they're not coming back. Not now, not tomorrow, not ever. So enough with the reality already. Where's the hope? It may sound simplistic, but maybe even corny, but I think when I think about the hope for Unitarian Universalism, I think about the 1,000+ UU congregations around the country, and more importantly, the people who keep those congregations going. In other words, I'm thinking about you, each of you, the ones who are still here after all the hardships and heartbreaks of the last 2 years. But what does it mean to still be here as we enter into the 3rd year of the COVID-19 pandemic? Consider this distinction from Carrie Newhoff. Pre-COVID, growing, plateauing, and declining in growing, plateauing, and declining churches, you could break down people who were part of your church into 2 primary categories: members and attenders, and engagers. Think of members and attenders as just that, people who joined your church and or people who attend, but rarely move beyond that. Think of engagers, on the other hand, as well, members and attenders who engaged in a way far beyond church attendance. Before the pandemic, it was possible for most congregations to survive with this sort of distinction between members, attenders on one hand, and engagers on the other. But the current reality is different. As Robert Dreyer said, super volunteers are now looking to do other things. Regular attenders are becoming semi-regular, and fringe folks are fading away. The Gallup report put it this way: churches are only as strong as their membership and are dependent on their members for financial support and service to keep operating. Because it's unlikely that people who do not have a religious preference will become church members, the challenge for church leaders is to encourage those who do affiliate with a specific faith to become formal and active church members. This is pretty much what Carrie Newhoff suggests when he says, turn your remaining attendees into engagers. And like most of the things I've been talking about today, this is not a new idea that's come along with the pandemic. The need for attenders to be more fully engaged with their congregation has been around since before COVID-19. Here's another story from a minister that occurred around Easter time. It's from the Irreverend blog by Erin Wathen on the website Patheos. Here's what she says. I was writing my weekly note to the congregation a few days late because I took Monday off, and it's all downhill from there. Usually in this note, I share a few words about the Sunday message, the message for Sunday, so that we can all be reflecting on the same topic throughout the week. It makes a sermon more of an ongoing conversation. I sometimes discuss something that's going on in the life of the church as well, but this week, It was more of a thank you note, because when I think about how much work my church folks did over the last few weeks to get our place ready for Easter, it blows my mind. And as I look around the property, I can see the fruits of many hours of shared labor. Sparkling windows and floors, finely manicured landscaping, dramatic paraments hung with a complex pulley system by dedicated house elves in the wee hours. And then I start thinking about the work of the worship team, the children's ministry team, and musicians, not to mention greeters, handshakers, bulletin hander, outers, and coffee makers, and the youth group out there hiding eggs for the little ones, plus more behind the scene workers I have not mentioned. Just thinking about it makes me overwhelmed with gratitude. It's enough to make my mascara run. I'm not crying, you are. In writing this note to my people, I wrote that it takes a whole village of volunteers to make all of this happen. But then I found myself hitting the backspace button, because volunteer is not quite the right word for what our people do in church. I know I'm not the only one who cringes when someone sees me without kids in tow and asks if my husband is babysitting. Well, no. I mean, yes, he is at home with the kids tonight, but I do not think you can effectively say babysitting when it is your own dang kid. I'd say we would just call that parenting. I feel the same when people talk about volunteering at church. And yes, I know it's just a word, but it's the wrong word for lots of reasons. To volunteer means you are outside, you are an outside resource stepping in to help an organization in need. Volunteering is what we do when we pick up trash at the park, or build a house with habitat, or help sort food at the local food pantry. Volunteering is what I do at my kids' school on Fridays. In other words, it's what you do at a place that is important to you, but not at a place that belongs to you. And I guess that is an important distinction for me. You cannot volunteer at your own church in the same way you cannot babysit for your own kid, because the church belongs to you in the same way your family does. It's your own place, your own people. So of course you help take care of it. Of course you do yard work and make coffee and teach the kids and sing in the choir and whatever else it takes to do for the home and the people that you love. It's your own place, your own people, so of course you take care of it. This was true in 2017 when Aaron Wathen wrote those words, and it's 10, 20, 100 times truer in 2022. The hope for our congregations lies in all of us doing what needs to be done to make sure our spiritual homes are here for the people that we love. And in doing so, we're making sure that our congregations are here for the people in our communities who are still seeking a spiritual home, people who share our common values of believing in the worthiness of every person, showing compassion and fairness, accepting others for who they are, growing through a personal search for truth, leading with democratic spirit, working for justice, understanding that everything is interconnected, and building a diverse, multicultural, beloved community. If our congregations have any hope of surviving, this is it. Even the Wall Street Journal acknowledges that a tighter congregation of devoted members will be stronger in the long run. Now is the time to heed the advice of Carrie Nieuwhof, who asks us to focus on the people who stayed, not the people who left, and embrace our new church. To close, I'd like to read again Starhawk's Community Means Strength, because I think it sums up perfectly why it's so important for each of us to embrace our congregations and do what needs to be done to make sure our spiritual homes are here for the people that we love. We are all longing to go home to some place we have never been, a place half remembered and half envisioned. We can only catch glimpses of from time to time. Community. Somewhere there are people to whom we can speak with passion without having the words catch in our throats. Somewhere a circle of hands will open to receive us. Eyes will light up as we enter. Voices will celebrate us whenever we come into our own power. Community means strength that joins our strength to do the work that needs to be done. Arms to hold us when we falter, a circle of healing, a circle of friends, a place where we can be free. May your congregation be such a place. And now for our final hymn, number 95 in the gray hymnal. There is more love somewhere.
There is more love somewhere. There is more love somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. There is more hope somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more hope somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. There is more peace somewhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more peace There is more love somewhere. There is more love everywhere. I'm gonna keep on till I find it. There is more love somewhere.
Well, that was an amazing sermon and very powerful. Thank you so much, Phil, for your time on that. We have a bunch of announcements. As I've already mentioned earlier, Jim Elliott's wife passed away. There will be a memorial service, not at our church, but at another location. And so please contact Mary Johnson or Pat Moore, who plan to attend. I think it's coming up soon. I think maybe the 29th or something. I don't remember the exact date, so I apologize, but contact them and maybe there can be a carpool of people who go. I want to also thank everyone who stepped up to the plate to help out Casey Coombs-Luker, who had some surgery at the end of, actually had surgery last week, but and needed some help making rent this month. And we not only met our goal, but we exceeded it. So I will be seeing her next week and we'll be giving her the additional cash that we collected. So thank you again, everyone who even donated to something as simple as $5. It all matters. And this is what community looks like, where we get behind people that we love and care about. A gentle reminder that we have our annual meeting following this service starting 11 o'clock, and we do need to have attendees for a quorum because we have a vote to take on our desire to start our minister search. So we will have a nice discussion about that, and then we need your participation in that vote. We'll also update you on all the things that are going on, not only what we've accomplished in the last few months, but also where we're at with respect to some of the stay or go research that we've been doing, so that you are aware of where we're at and where we're moving and how we're moving forward on that process. I also want to thank yet again our pandemic task force who have been guiding us in terms of when we should be open, when we should be closed, when we should be doing virtual services. Right now, we're either in a Zoom mode as we are here today with Phil because he is in Minnesota and could not be here live. In the sanctuary, but we otherwise, if we have local people, we try to do our services in the sanctuary with only worship and tech and music in the sanctuary at that time. And we're expecting to have Annie Jaresh back in the pulpit again next week, just so you're aware. But the pandemic task force has been really helpful and useful. And I want to again call out John Herndon and Wayne Polich, Marcy Bennett, Mary Weber, and Ed Navarra, who have all really stepped up to the plate. There are our lovely scientists and nurses and engaged individuals who care about this place, and they want to make sure we're keeping everybody safe. So we will be turning to them. Right now, we are still virtual through the end of January. We'll be turning to them coming up in the next couple of weeks so that we can make a decision about what we want to do for February. If we're going to take it a month at a time or a week at a time, please bear with us. We want us to be live if we can with people in the sanctuary, but also we want to make sure we keep people safe. So as we look at the numbers and we look at the trends, and hopefully we'll be able to have a decision for you all before the February services. In the spirit of Phil's sermon, I do want to say that we do need volunteers to help us with our next distribution. We did not distribute in January our personal care items because of the COVID numbers. We were concerned about that, but we do need some people to step up to the plate in February. Now, I want to be clear. I'm going to talk about this in the annual meeting, but I want to be clear. Mary needs to take a giant step back from doing this. She will agree to continue to work with the food bank to get whatever personal care items we can get to be in our and to pick them up and to drop them off, but she does not want to feel committed to being here every month on Saturdays. And Mary is a board member, and Mary steps up for everything, and it is okay for Mary to take a big step back because she needs to, and it is important for us to step forward to take ownership of this project. We greatly appreciate Sabrina Trupia, who came up with this idea in the first place, and she took ownership of it for years. But because she's in seminary now, this is not something that she can do. Mary stepped in, and it is not something she can sustain. If we want to continue this program, it's the single most important social justice program that we're doing right now. We need somebody who's willing to step in and take on ownership the day of the distribution. It's not hard. It's just a few hours on a Saturday morning. I plan to be there, but I'm not going to take on leadership of this right now either, because I'm the president of the congregation and I only have so much energy to give to these things. So I need somebody who's willing to take on responsibility once a month, get the volunteers, make sure we've got the items set up, and to help to distribute the items. So please, if you're interested in this, we'll be asking people if we don't get any volunteers, but we definitely need some people to step up on this project. So please consider this, how important it is for the little social justice that we can do right now in the pandemic. This is essential. What what else is on my list? I talked to you about next week. Annie Jaresh will be in the pulpit. And then lastly, we need some volunteers to help us put away the Christmas decorations in the sanctuary. It doesn't have to happen between now and next Sunday, but if we can, it would be great. Just let me know if you want to help, and then I can get a couple people to meet us in the church to start taking things down, so that we haven't had to worry about it because we've been virtual, but it would be good to get all those things put away and be ready to go. Particularly if we return to live services. As much as I love Christmas decorations, probably don't need to continue to have them up into February. So, but that's not to say that the Christmas tree isn't still up in my house, but we won't talk about that. All right. So if there's any other announcements, you can put them in the chat and we can try to share them. If not, we can bring those to the congregational meeting, which will follow this meeting here. At this point, I want to invite, I think we're moving on to the next slide. Whoever's controlling, I don't know whether it's Alex or Katie, to do that. Thank you. We are going to extinguish our chalice now, or your candle if you have it in front of you. And so I'm going to invite you to recite the prayer as I extinguish the chalice. The light of truth and meeting cannot be put out. We are keepers of this flame until we meet again. And the closing words by Phil.
Closing words are from Reverend Wayne B. Arneson. You are not alone. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage. For deep down, there is another truth. You are not alone.
And our postlude is by Joy Heft. Thank you, everybody, for an amazing service. Phil, appreciate that. Appreciate our tech and music people. You guys are the best. And a shout out to all of you. So thank you for being here.
My life flows on in endless song above earth's lamentation. I hear the real, no far off hymn that hails a new creation.
No storm can shake my inmost calm, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails in heaven and earth. How can I keep from singing?
Although the tempest round me roars, I know the truth it liveth. And though the darkness round me grows, songs in the night it giveth. No storm can shake my inmost song, while to that rock I'm clinging, since love prevails. first I learned to love it. No storm can shake my inmost calm. I hear the music ringing. It sounds